about where you live. I would suggest to you that it is also about how you live. Somebody say how you live. Turn me down just a little bit, please. It is also about how you live. For the fact of the matter is, sisters and brothers, that you can have the best of everything, but if it is jacked up, if your heart is not right, if your mind is crooked, then it suggests that you will not prosper. You may have some momentary flashes where it looks good, sounds good, smells good for just a moment, but if you want everlasting prosperity, if you want to succeed all the days of your life, I would suggest to you that it is also about how you live. Get it right and don't get it twisted today, because you can be in the church and run around the church and run lap after lap. You can outclap everybody in the house, but if your heart is not right, can I tell you today that you will go to hell? It is about attitude, for your attitude will affect your behavior. If you want to get it right, then you ought to have the right attitude. Somebody ought to tweet that one. If you want to get it right, then you ought to have the right attitude. Means everything. Attitude, what you think about yourself. Attitude, what you think about the people around you. Attitude, what you think about the opportunities that are set before you. I told you the story before, but let me tell you again, attitude makes all the difference. Find somebody out of everything that you might hear in the church. If you don't hear that Christ came to this, that Jesus died for your sin, that they lynched him on the cross, that he was buried in a borrowed tomb, but 3 days later he rose again, you are not hearing the true gospel. I believe in prosperity like everybody else, but I know I prosper because he got up. I'll say that again. I know I prosper because I have a car, because he got up. You can't handle the resurrection, you can't expect a healing. If you can't handle the resurrection, you can't expect to be delivered. If you can't handle the resurrection, you can't expect God to pick you up. Is that God called Jesus out of the cemetery. You know the cemetery, don't you? That's the place where dead bodies hang out. The cemetery, you've heard of it before, haven't you? That's where they stack bodies on top of one another so as to receive the highest profit for their space. You've heard of the cemetery, don't you? That's where people have go. That's where they put bodies that have lost their vitality, such that their bones sink into what Ezekiel called very dry bones. You know the cemetery, don't you? That's where they put you in a space and there is no hope of moving out of that space. You have to maintain the space that you are put in. You know the cemetery, don't you? Where your body is commodified, and I don't care how much you need a place to rest. If your money ain't right, you ain't going through the gates. You can, you will live a resurrected life. Not because of who gives you what, not because it's Easter Sunday morning, but because you are anointed by the living God. Here it is, as I've said to you before, you are too blessed to be cursed. Yeah, you ought to say that out loud. I can't be cursed. No, you ought to say it like you're talking to the devil. I can't be. You can and you shall live a resurrected life. You are no longer tied to that which is meant to destroy you. You are no longer connected to that which is meant to keep